Skip it up and that up. What's going on, everybody? This is Rich of ReviewTechUSA, and I'm joined by Zach from Lugo Entertainment, who I've known for eons. I've known you since, I think, like 2011, man, right?
Yeah, it's been about 2011-ish, I would say.
It's been about 4 years, maybe even over 4 years. And he has an awesome YouTube channel. I'll have a link to it below in the description. You can check it out. He does top-notch work. I don't know, have you been on a hiatus lately? I honestly have checked no one's videos except the ones I upload for myself. Have you been uploading recently?
Yeah, I actually changed from Lugo Entertainment to Lugo Gaming, and I've been doing a lot of MMO first looks recently, especially with the launch of Tamriel Unlimited, bringing the Elder Scrolls Online from pay to play to buy to play. So that's been a big thing on my channel lately. But yeah, I've been doing a good bit of content lately. So
great. You see, that's the problem with the subscription stream from YouTube, is that for some reason, like, even if you don't have that many people you're subscribed to, you don't get it in your feed.
Exactly.
People tell me that all the time. I almost cringe thinking, I mean, I do okay view-wise, but I almost cringe thinking how many people just don't watch my videos simply because they aren't getting them. But anyway, yeah. Zach has an awesome channel. I'll make sure I have a link to it below in the description. And I think we both kind of feel the same way about the Wii U and the future of it. That's why I invited him to talk about it. Now, I told him I'd actually give my mission statement first, and I'll let him put in his 2 cents too. A lot of you guys out there seem to think I hate Nintendo, and I don't really understand that. I guess because I'm objective about pretty much everything I talk about. I'll say positive and negative things about any company, but I love Nintendo. If it wasn't for Nintendo, I don't think I'd be as passionate about gaming and technology as I am. I've always loved Nintendo. Secondly, I think the Wii U is a hell of a lot better console than the original Wii. I know I've said that before. I thought the original Wii was pretty much a turd. As soon as I figured out when you were playing like Wii Sports that you could just flick your wrist around, you don't have to actually do the movements to play the games, I realized the system was a gimmick, and Nintendo even themselves said they regretted not making it an HD console because they didn't realize how fast HD was around the corner. So I thought the Wii was basically a GameCube on very slight steroids, and it was a gimmicky turd that just came out at the right time. That's why it sold well, and I think the Wii U is a hell of a lot better. That being said, and it was interesting because I've been thinking this for a couple weeks, and then I saw an article on Cinema Blend that I'll have posted below as well. I think the Wii U is unofficially dying, if not dead. Now I'll let Zach take over from here, and then I'll give you my 2 cents on it. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah. So, I mean, with the Wii U, it's certainly a better console in terms of, in my opinion, the games on it compared to the Wii. I had a Wii back in the day. I didn't personally like the gimmick of, as far as like the motion controls. One game I did really like it in, I'm a bowler, I like bowling, is not necessarily Wii Bowl, but there was a PBA game on the Wii U that was really, really good, and I played that quite a lot. But the Wii U overall, that's really not a console that a lot of people have bought, so they haven't been able to try out those exclusives. But the Wii, a lot of people have bought, and so they know sort of the direction that Nintendo has been going with motion controls and so on and so forth. But the Wii's not really been a good console, in my opinion, in terms of the games. The Wii U, on the other hand, in terms of games like all the new Zeldas, the Zelda games, Hyrule Warriors, Mario Kart 8, I think it's called Super Mario World, is it?
Super Mario 3D World, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Bayonetta 2.
Yeah, Bayonetta 2. All those games, honestly, from what I've played of them, I like them quite a lot, and I see why a lot of people always say, I have a PC and then I have a Nintendo console for the exclusives, because Nintendo's exclusives are really good. It's just, over the years, I've seen Nintendo go, with hardware-wise, down a path of really trying to do too much gimmicks and trying to be too different. And in an industry where game developers see two other consoles trying to streamline and be somewhat the same, you can't really do that because you're going to lose a lot of third parties. So I think that Nintendo, as a result, is pretty much has killed anything that they could have done with the Wii U in terms of sales. And I think that that's why they're coming out with Project NX to try and remedy that. But I'm sure we're going to talk about that.
I think, yeah, with how much they've been. Now it's more than a hint. They've said we're coming out.
Yeah.
We're working on a next gen project. It's called NX, and I think they even said it. They announced that next year they're going to announce it at E3 2016 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like Nintendo has lost all faith in the Wii U. It almost seems like Nintendo, before I get into Zelda being delayed for the Wii U, it almost seems like Nintendo lost faith in the Wii U before the damn console launched. If you remember, and I've talked about this before in a video, when they announced it at 2011, they knew. It's so funny. Nintendo's not about the third-party games. I'm like, so why did Nintendo at E3 2011 make it that they were like embracing all? Remember, they had that whole like. They had like I can't think, a spoiler reel, I guess you could say. I'm probably using the wrong term. Or where they had like Metro Last Light, and they had all these different third-party games that were hardcore games, and we're getting back to the hardcore because our console can now do HD. And when it finally released, it almost like seemed like they gave up on the Wii U before it was even in store shelves, because none of those games came. Do you realize that virtually none of those games that they showed at E3 2011 from third parties came to fruition? Do you realize that?
Yeah.
You know, and it just... What bothered me about the Wii U is that Nintendo just didn't try with third parties. They did for like a second, and they had the Call of Duties for, they up to Ghost, and they had a few other games, but it was like after the first year and a half, third party dried up completely. Even Ubisoft, which was like their last like white knight for third party games, gave up on them, and Nintendo did nothing to try to bring third parties in. It's like they still think they don't need third party developers to come in and make games for them. What was like a perfect example is Grand Theft Auto 5, and I just need to get this. Grand Theft Auto 5 should have, before the console was even released. What were they developing like for 4 years? Grand Theft Auto 5, maybe even longer. Nintendo should have had Nintendo should have had suits knocking on Rockstar's door to make sure that game was on that system. Just shit like that, just killed. Because if the Wii U was that console where you could get everything on it, first and third party, Nintendo would have killed it. The Sony and Microsoft wouldn't have had a chance. But they don't get it. They don't understand that you need both first and third party games. It's that blend that brings people in.
Yeah, and what's really strange about that too is the fact that when they did announce all those third-party games, and that's that reel that you were talking about at E3, they had a lot of games that were older already. Like they brought Mass Effect, that trilogy over, and I think it was also Batman Arkham City as well, or Arkham. The next one after Arkham Origins. But regardless, a lot of them were older titles already, and that's what a lot of people were noticing. Is like, why are you guys bringing all these older titles over to the Wii U? It should be newer or current titles that are already out or have just released. And one of the things is with, for example, like you brought up Grand Theft Auto 5, in terms of third parties, if you have a new console that's coming out, you need to, even if it costs you a bit of money, get those third parties on your system ASAP, especially considering Nintendo set themselves up for failure to begin with the Wii U, because the architecture was different than what the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One were going to do. And they may have had some insight on what they were going to do, because obviously the Wii U released before those two consoles, the Xbox One and PS4, but they probably had at least some insight on what their industry competitors were going to be doing in terms of architecture. And so because of that, they decided to ignore that and try and basically pull a PlayStation 3 and come out with some new different hardware that isn't at all similar to what their competition is. And because of that, the Wii U has not sold at all, hardly. I mean, it's really, really lackluster in sales, even though it has great exclusives, because Nintendo didn't embrace third party. They didn't look at the competition and realize, hey, we have competition coming out in a year that are going to have the same architecture. So maybe we should try to at least either go out to third party developers like, hey, okay, we know our hardware is different, but but maybe here's a little bit of money to get this stuff on our console, because we want you to embrace the Wii U because we think it's a great console. And they needed to sell that to third party, but instead it kind of just seems like they wanted people to come to them instead of them coming to the third party developers, because they just didn't care.
And those days are done. Nintendo, that was the shit they pulled in the NES and Super NES days. They felt, they almost feel like developers owe them a favor. Third-party devs owe them a favor. Those days are gone, man. They're gone. There's too much competition out there. The industry has evolved so much. It's not a bunch of 7-year-olds sitting around playing Super Mario Brothers, sitting Indian style in front of the TV. Like, you're not king shit anymore. You're just not. You have I'm not saying that Nintendo has a lot more money than Sony does, or they're a lot more financially healthy, I should say, than Sony is. But Sony's kicking their ass in the gaming division, and Nintendo, that's all they do is games. That's it. So if Nintendo keeps up on, like, if the NX comes out, and I'm gonna kind of get off subject, but if the NX comes out and it's a dud too, I don't know what the future of Nintendo is going to be. Now, before I lose my train of thought, you were talking about like Mass Effect. You brought up something with Mass Effect 3. Yeah. What a dumb third-party exclusive to have. Or not third-party game. It wasn't an exclusive. I'm sure people are still going to jump down my throat for even saying that. But third-party game to have. Not massive. What happens if someone was going from the Wii to the Wii U, and they didn't have Mass Effect 1 and 2, you're just going to plop Mass Effect 3? And the thing that cracked me up about EA is EA was pissed that game didn't sell well. Duh! Like, so you have people who may have never had a PS3 or 360, never played the first, the first two Mass Effects, and they just plop the third one in, and they have no idea what's going on and expect them to buy it. That's another, but my point being too is that's another thing with the Wii U is that even when they got the third-party exclusives, or the third-party, I keep saying exclusives, the third-party games, the games sometimes, a lot of the times were gimped, or didn't get the DLC, or didn't have the same features.
Oh god, the gimped games.
Yeah, like or Arkham Origins. Now, granted, the multiplayer was a turd. The multiplayer in Arkham Origins was a turd, but it was still a feature that you would have had on the 360 version, the PS3 version, the PC version, the Wii U. People hear, oh, it's a GIMP version of the game. Even if they don't care about it, why would they spend the money on the Wii U version instead of getting it for even their previous generation console would have had more features? I don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even looking at the console sales for the Wii U, I mean, we look at the Wii U right now is hovering, at least according to VG charts, at around like 9.5-ish million console sales. The Xbox One's already caught up to that, and the Wii U had a year head start, and the Xbox One's at almost 12 million console sales. And that's picking up a lot of steam now because of the price drop. So they missed a really big window of opportunity that first year, especially even though they did get third-party games. We got to give them credit. At least they did get some third-party games when they initially launched. Obviously not enough. But the thing is, they were all gimped games. Like, I can't, even the first-party games like, what was it, Zombie U? I saw so many titles that came out on the system like Zombie U that had a lot of frame rate drop issues, a lot of random bugs. Why would you want to buy a console that may have had a year head start, but seems like a lot of the games are still in beta? They perform like they're still in beta. Like, it's not really, it wasn't a smart move by Nintendo to disregard all that lack of polish, and consumers saw it. They didn't want to buy a console that had GIMP games on it.
Yeah, and beyond the fact that third-party games are GIMP, now there really is no third-party support except for like it was on the Wii, where you're going to get the, I know there's people going to bring up the few crumbs that the Wii U is going to get from third-party. There's that one game that's coming out. It's like a very violent third-person shooter. I can't think of it right now. But anyway, there's nowhere. Okay, I could say this, and this is a fact. There's nowhere near the third-party support for the Wii U as the PS4 and Xbox One. So you have the very minimal third-party support. And then here's the games that are coming out over like the next year: Yoshi's Woolly World, Mario Maker, a Star Fox game, and Xenoblade Chronicles X. Zelda's not coming out, and that's it. So if you have a Wii U, you don't have that much to look forward from the third parties, and you only have 4 games, maybe 5 games, first party, that are going to be, I'm not saying those are going to be bad games. I'm sure all those games are probably going to be pretty damn good. But you only have a handful of games to look forward to, and you know Nintendo next year is going to be announcing their next console.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. It pretty much is unofficially dead. It really is. And for them to announce it makes me think that they're saying it to say, like, give investors faith, like, yeah, we know the Wii U's a turd, but don't worry, we're flushing that turd and we're going to have something fresh coming out. Now, what's your take on them delaying the Wii U Zelda? Do you think that it's maybe because they're going to have like a cross-gen release for that?
Well, I look at it this way. Number one, the Wii U has less third-party games in total compared to even the last-gen consoles, the Xbox 360 and PS3, which is sad in and of itself. But then on top of that, delaying Legend of Zelda, one of the most hyped-up first-party titles coming from them, to 2016, when supposedly rumors are saying that that's when Nintendo is planning to launch the Project NX console. It just smells of, we're trying to make sure that this game is as great as possible and looks as good as possible, to put a somewhat, lesser quality version on the Wii U for our Wii U people, but mainly try and sell the Project NX console even more. They're going to put that probably as the poster child for the console. And it makes entire sense to me why they would delay it up to, when about a lot of people are saying, oh, well, that's when Project NX probably will come out, probably mid to late 2016. I would even say maybe holiday 2016 is when I speculate it will be coming out. But The Legend of Zelda, being that it was one of the more hyped up games that was going to be coming onto the Wii U, everyone was waiting for that next generation Legend of Zelda title. And now that it's being delayed to when the Project NX might come out, it's like they're probably trying to completely flush the Wii U down the toilet. I mean, honestly, especially since, like I said, there's been less third-party titles. I would say even probably 1/4 of the third-party titles that the Xbox 360 and PS3 are getting, and those consoles are ancient by now. So yeah, it's like, really? Like, Nintendo, you're being way too obvious about this, and all it's going to do is hurt the last, sales of the Wii U. But I mean, I guess one thing that is saving the Wii U in terms of this sort of like a little bit of the crumb sales that they're getting from it is the sale, like the price of it. So because of the price, they will still sell a little bit of Wii U consoles. But in terms of how much they could have sold if they would have just, maybe delayed Project NX in terms of announcing it until maybe next year or the year after, and then allow Legend of Zelda to launch on the Wii U, it definitely smells of the Wii U is done. It's over with. They're moving on, and now they're just focusing on Project NX and correcting their mistakes.
It's really a shame, because I think if they marketed the Wii U better, like I said in the beginning of this video, I don't think the Wii U is shit. Yes, it's less powerful than its competitors, but they could have, if they marketed it right, gave it a better name, really embraced third-party developers, I think it may have still been in third place, but maybe Nintendo would have been at like 22 million sold right now, or 25 million, and it would have had people would have had a more positive outlook on it. But it was kind of like Nintendo just didn't know what to do with the Wii U. It's like, okay, we tried the whole hardcore thing, trying to get the hardcore third-party games, but that didn't really happen. The name didn't really work out too well because a lot of people thought it was an add-on, so we didn't do that. So they're like, oh, fuck, we just basically screwed this thing up from top to bottom. We're just done, And yeah. I kind of hope, I know you're probably right, and they probably are going to launch it holiday 2016. But I kind of hope they wait till holiday 2017, because I think they don't want people to start feeling jaded. You get what I'm saying? They don't want to do what Sega did back in the day, where, forget the Sega Genesis, buy the 32X. That's our next-gen console. Oh, the 32X really isn't our next-gen console. It's the Sega Saturn. Oh, the Sega Saturn's not really. We're only going to give it a 3-year lifespan in the States. We're going to come out, it was about 3.5 years. We're going to come out with the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast is our future. If you remember Bernie Stoller, who was the president of Sega at the time, he said that, and that killed the sales of the Sega Saturn were hurting already. And then when he came out with that announcement, kind of similar to what Nintendo's doing with NX, it made the sales like just drop like a rock for the Saturn, because everyone's like, all right, it's not their future. Why the hell am I going to buy a Saturn?
Yeah.
So I really hope that Nintendo just give it that 5 years, Nintendo. Even if you want to launch it on the day of the 5th year anniversary of the Wii U, give it that 5 years so people don't think, if I go out and buy Project NX, what happens if it doesn't do as well as Nintendo wants to, and then 3 years later they come out with a new system? I don't want to drop money for them not to have faith in a product. You don't want to have that mindset, because that's part of what killed Sega, at least in the hardware market anyway. But I don't know. What were you going to say?
Yeah, when you look into it though, Nintendo is already pretty arrogant as it is. I mean, they released the new 3DS, which is going to have exclusive titles on it because it's a lot more well, not a lot more, but it's more powerful hardware. So they've already sort of split their market a bit. And I mean, the 3DS has been out longer, I think, if I remember correctly. But even then, I mean, it was still a console, a mobile console that has been doing really well. It's in 11th place in terms of the top sales of all time in terms of consoles. But what I look at is more of Nintendo has been arrogant over the past, probably decade, because number one, they expect third parties to come to them. Number two, the Wii U, since it is the 5th highest selling console of all time, I mean the Wii, not the Wii U. The Wii U, obviously, they probably expected in terms of marketing. Oh, it's the new Wii. People are gonna fly. It's gonna fly off the shelves because it's the new Wii. Our last Wii sold so much consoles, and we did so well with it that people are gonna buy the Wii U because they think that Nintendo is amazing, and they didn't really account for the fact that their marketing, like you said, was extremely poor. I didn't even know it was a new console. I thought it was a tablet add-on to the Wii when I first saw it.
That's what a lot of people. I mean, like a year and a half after that damn console came out, people still thought that the Wii U was an add-on for the Wii.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so amazing that a big corporation that built themselves up like Nintendo is so arrogant to the fact that they are making a lot of mistakes across the board. And a lot of people may, give me flack for calling them arrogant. But the thing is, their games are amazing. No one will ever say different. Their games are awesome. I love Nintendo games. But their hardware decision making has been absolutely abysmal over the past decade, I would even say. Because
I would say since the N64. Or you could even go with, even though that was more of a brain fart and hiccup, the Virtual Boy, but I would say for mainstream systems, I would say since the N64, they've been making huge mistakes.
Yeah, because even with the Wii, I mean, you discussed this a while back. The Wii, for the most part, for a lot of people, was a dust collector, like a sort of a paperweight even, and that's what it was like for me. I bought it when it was first really launched. I played Wii Sports on it a bit. I maybe bought a couple of games here and there, but did they get near as much software sales as my PS4 has even gotten to this point? Hell no. They only got maybe 2 or 3 games. And then I ended up trading it in. So it's one of those things where, yeah, they sold a ton of consoles. They got up to the 5th most sold console of all time, according to VG charts, but they didn't sell as much software as they probably wanted, considering a lot of third-party games didn't even come to the Wii. There was a good bit of them compared to the Wii U, but it was still nothing like the Xbox 360 or PS3, where they were sort of sharing a lot of third-party games, despite the fact that the PS3 had the cell processor and a lot of people didn't want to develop for that. It was still getting third-party titles because Sony knew they needed to get third-party titles in order to sell that console, despite the fact it was more expensive, despite the fact that there was a lot of debacle around that cell processor.
And they did, like, it was like in '09, I remember that Sony did like a complete 180 with marketing. They dropped the price like to almost half the price and then they came out, and I think it was in 2010 when they came out with the original PS3 Slim, not the Super Slim, and they just slashed the price of that thing. So they marketed it a hell of a lot better, and it enticed people, and they made it more appealing. And once there was a bigger install base, third-party developers, just dealt with the crap of the cell processor and program for it. But the bottom line is this, we'll end the video with this, is that Nintendo, you could have done a lot with the Wii U, even though, like I said, it was underpowered. You could have still made it a hell of a lot more than it was, but it's almost like I feel Nintendo, you gave up on the Wii U before the Wii U even had a chance, and that's disappointing. And I think Zach feels the same way. So
yeah.
All right, folks. This is Rich of ReviewTechUSA, and this is Zach. I have Zach over here from Lugo Gaming. Thanks for joining me, Zach. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. It was awesome to come on the show, and I hope you guys down in the comments section hopefully feel somewhat the same. But I mean, I would like to see what game you guys are anticipating on the Wii U. I mean, I guess that's what I would like to see down in the comments. What game coming out that they have plans to release soon for the Wii U are you guys anticipating? I'm assuming most of you are going to say Legend of Zelda, but who knows?
Or Star Fox, they may say.
Or Star Fox, yeah.
It'll be interesting. I mean, I hope, yes, I'll end it with this too. I hope we're both wrong and the Wii U could stay as the main system till 2017 and the Zelda actually does come out for it. You know, I hope we're wrong about everything because I don't want to see this, but it's just like the writing is on the wall. That's just how it is on the wall, and if I'm wrong, great. If I'm not, then yeah, it is what it is, and I just have a feeling that we're not wrong. All right, guys, have a good night. Once again, Zach, thanks for coming on, and as always, make sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. Have a good one, folks.